Noelle and her angels. They would tease me. And then as I went through my transformation more and deeper clearing and cleaning, it became even a stronger frequency signal, direct connect to them.
Right.
And so I was like, wow, this is pretty impactful. And now I have to go out and do more than I ever thought I would do. But you have a contract when you come here. Everybody has like a divine blueprint, plan, mission, whatever. Once you figure out what your soul mission is, then it's just time to go do it.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you are watching or listening. This is the Holistic Monitor, and I'm your host, Nick Sconia. The Holistic Monitor podcast is a weekly show featuring guest interviews with discussions about self-discovery, philosophy, spirituality, and our relationship with the world around us. Your support this last year has meant the world to me, and you can now go to holisticmonitor.com to support the topics you want to hear with our new show merchandise, featuring hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and more. You can also support us by simply sharing your favorite episode with your followers. And with that, let's get the show started. Noelle Hipke, you're the author of the book Superpowers, A Journey to Self-Health. What got you started first in writing itself? What was the impetus for writing?
I've always been a writer all my life, and I wanted to write a book 30 years ago called Women's Wisdom, and I wanted to write it on older women, 20, 30 years older than me, about their wisdom. And I would tell my mom, I want to write this book. And she would say, well, why do you want to write this book? It's not going to pay the bills. And she stopped me 4 times in my lifetime. Mm-hmm. And then 30 years later, I discovered now it's my wisdom I'm going to write about. So that's what I did. And I've been a realtor for about 20 years coming up here, and I've written my own newsletters, my own email campaigns, everything. It's funny because I was cleaning out my garage yesterday, and I literally have stacks because, 20 years of, newsletters, and they're all in there. And I'm writing about film festivals and, sales and just so many different topics. It wasn't always about real estate. It was my passion. Mm-hmm. So then when I decided to write the book, I told no one. I shut the world out for 3 months, and I just literally channeled the information right on through.
Yeah. So just kind of let it all conglomerate within you and just let it out. That kind of idea.
And it felt so good. Yeah. And as I did it, I was healing myself as I went through this journey, and I was being, kind of guided on how to do things. Sometimes I'd wake up in the morning and I didn't even know what I was going to write about. Right. And then I would get into a certain state of mind and let the creativity and energy, I kind of relax myself and just go, okay, what am I going to write about today? And then I'd get a topic and I would start writing about the topic, just kind of free flowing. And then I would start to research things that would come to mind. And it just was such a profound experience. And then you journal after each chapter. I was like, wait a minute. If I'm going through this evolvement, each person who reads the book can evolve as well and do their own healing journey.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Okay. So, and how many books have you written?
This was my first. That one took me 3 months, but since then I've written 2 more. And one took me 3 weeks. And that happened around Christmas last year. I hadn't planned on it. It literally, I get this funny feeling, like a tingly feeling happens to my body. Mm-hmm. And I feel like get paper and pen. And then I just start writing. And I actually went to bed. I was home alone on Christmas Eve this last Christmas. And I went to bed with a flashlight and a pen and a notebook, which I've never do normally. Mm-hmm. But something was happening. I'd gone to church by myself and was home alone, which is not normal to be alone on Christmas Eve, but I was for some reason. And all this information just started coming through. The angels on the other side were singing Christmas carols to me. Like all these things were happening. And I was like, oh, I'm getting the tingles now as I'm saying this. Yeah. I was getting all this information. So I just started to put it out there and I was like, oh man, this is good. This is really good. That's so awesome. It was another, wonderful experience.
Yeah. And I find that with my writing, when I have the allocated space and time for it, it does happen in a flurry. There's probably an impetus, something that kind of spurns it initially, but then it just, I can't stop. It's much like reading a really good book, and writing is much the same in that way. Do you find that?
Yes, there's been times when I've actually been driving and writing. Because it's coming as I'm going. I have to be somewhere.
Right.
It'll happen for hours at a time.
Yeah.
I'll go, and I've gone into where I was like in a classroom and I'm still writing it out because it was still coming through. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's almost, what's the word I could describe it? It's, I guess, an energy or frequency you tap into,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to continue to hold it as you move through, like
Right.
that's pretty amazing, right? To
Yeah.
move through life and keep it connected.
You should want that. That's like something that you'd want to attain, is the ability to, at any point in time, address the spirit, or bring down the spirit. Bring down the wisdom from above, if that's where it's coming from. I had I think that when I was writing a lot more, I maintained that it was important to keep a strong connection to all that is, and to the inspiration, and then also to let it go and just let it be and let it happen and give it space. And yeah, it seemed to come out in a flurry, very quick. Yeah. What kind of superpowers are we talking about?
Oh, wow. Well, my sense of smell is off the charts now. Absolutely off the charts. It's funny because I was walking, this was the last 24 hours, and people would be riding their bike on the street, I don't know, 8 to 12 feet away from me, and I can smell them. And sometimes they smell really good, and sometimes they don't smell so good.
Right.
But it's almost like, ooh, what's the story with that person? They had a great scent. It's almost like an animalistic instinct is coming in. So you're getting messages of information as people go by. And so sensory is one of, like, all your senses.
Yeah.
We're basically using more than 5 senses now. A lot of us are moving towards telepathy. And more people are starting to levitate. There's many things happening when people start to really stay connected and move into a very high state of frequency.
Levitation, that's a big one. But the telekinetic ability is definitely something that's within everybody, and could be honed, could be worked out in different ways. I believe remote viewing is a really good example of a practice that helps fine-tune the skill of, I don't know if it's astral projection necessarily, but definitely telekinetic ability. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
I do remote view. And sometimes it happens when I don't even try. I just am being shown things, and then that's when I know I'm supposed to bring light to it, shine the light on it. So, sometimes I don't even want to see it.
Yeah.
But, it's put there in front of me for a reason, and then I, evolve with it.
Well, now, doing real estate for 20 years, I did real estate for 10 years. What I did was I had to create a pretty strong wall between what I consider to be my professional life and my presentation, and my private life, or my opinions outside of the work. Although I will say real estate's really awesome for having that kind of free flow ability to make your own schedule somewhat.
But you're on call all the time.
Yeah, you're on call, but you might not get called.
And you're their therapist more than anything else. You're their coach,
right?
Guide.
Yes, but staying within the mundane, I would say, because you don't want to scare away somebody you don't necessarily know, whether or not they're attuned to the level of knowledge that you might put out. I always found that I kept a wall, but I always am open to say whatever, but I kept a wall of professionalism between my life and personal side, or spiritual pursuits, and the client's opinions and wants and desires to the house and everything like that. Do you do that as well? Are you, kind of creating a dual world, or do you completely embrace?
That's been interesting. I feel like I go back and forth. We're you moving through realms right now. People have the abilities to move through multiple realms. We're multiversatile now,
Mm-hmm.
multidimensional, and I get to people when I get around people who have lower frequencies, I try and help them elevate and raise their vibration. I've actually been focusing on the senior industry
Hmm.
for since 2005,
Oh, wow.
helping them go into retirement and the afterlife.
Hmm.
So I've seen a lot of things. I know what people go through. Many times we're not prepared to age, and we don't realize how much it costs. In fact, I just ran into my neighbor down the street when I was walking my dog, and both their parents are in a memory care place that I'm very familiar with, and the employees. And she says it's $14,000 a month for both their parents. They have dementia.
Yeah.
So these younger generations have no idea how much this stuff costs.
Right.
Okay.
A lot.
And sometimes, yeah, the
A lot.
strategies are very different for each family. And no one's been placed in this position before.
Mm-hmm.
They're being faced with it for the first time. A house full of all of these memories. Sometimes my clients will have 9 boxes of Band-Aids and still not want to get rid of them.
Yeah. Right.
And they don't even stick anymore.
Yeah.
It's a hoarding situation. It's
Right.
a mental, psychological situation going on. So there's a lot of programming that we need to help coach them through and help them release and purge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when you do the purging, there's so much lightness that happens. There's health that heals your soul and your body when you let these belongings go that have been weighing you down, holding you back. That's why I was cleaning out my garage.
Yeah.
When you've been in your house for decades, you just, if you've got a spot to put it, you just stick it there and don't really usually get rid of things.
Right.
So now I try and make the effort to really go through everything and toss it out, shred it. There's a shredded event I just discovered coming up here in a few weeks that I'm going to go drop off everything I can and get rid of everything. And if I'm having a yard sale, I'm like, whatever is not sold, I'm donating. And that's, a lot of the things I do coach my clients on is, give away, donate, give to the homeless. There's so many options you can do. You can't take it with you.
Right. Right. Yeah. I find that, and I've dealt with that with a lot of people that I've come into contact with as well, hoarding, or I guess it's hoarding to different levels. Some people just hold on to one thing. It's their one thing that they collect. And I want to say it's that, maybe it'll be useful type of thing. And then straight hoarding, which is just piles of stuff everywhere that just is out of control. And the person's kind of chained to it. They don't know how to get out. They may not want to. There's a lot that goes into that, right?
Oh, yeah. They have whole shows devoted to this.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So is that something that you kind of just fall upon as far as, you meet these people and then you help work with their situations in life?
Well, that's kind of what I've worked with for so long, since, over a decade. And it just taught me a lot. I would go back to my old high school. I went to an all-girl Catholic high school, and we had a career day. And I would actually go back and speak to the girls and tell them about the aging process, because I'm like, you guys don't know about this. And this is what you're doing at these different ages. And your parents are probably at this age, and maybe a lot of them are divorcing because there's these certain reasons. I'll break it down and help them kind of wrap their head around things and prepare. I said, there's actually a lot of jobs in the future in the senior care industry, because it's always going to be there and needed.
Yeah.
So if you're not really sure and you're, a healer, or if you really like to protect people and take care of them, that's a great profession to consider that no one really talks about as much.
Right. Yeah, that's noble for sure. Taking care of the elders. And one day we will, if we're lucky, get to that point as well, and have to face the same challenges. I think they talk a lot about how the society at large is aging and getting ready to, tap out of the workforce and start retiring, and how that's going to put a lot of stresses on many different industries. But like you said, also create other jobs. Care is definitely one of those that is in high demand.
Yes, forever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's with the baby boomers kind of rolling through, it's going to be a very large employment base for that. Now, does your book go into that?
I do cover the aging, actually, yes, and I cover wills and trusts.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would tell these girls about things that you never, they don't tell you when you buy a house, you should have it in a will and a trust so it doesn't go to probate because they
Right.
take about 10%.
Yeah.
So I have ideas that I want them to be aware of, and the power of attorney. So if something happens to your health, who's going to step in, and what are your wishes? If you were in a coma, do you want the plug pulled? What do you want done? Have these conversations. I tell people to actually videotape
Mm-hmm.
and have everyone sit down when they do their wills and trusts in the family and videotape it, so there's no discrepancies and arguments later. The tape is played, or the recording is played and it's made, and there's no way that anybody can argue what the person's wishes were
Right.
or are. So it's strategizing, it's planning ahead. It's inevitable. People don't want to talk about it.
That's what it
I
is.
talk about everything. I talk about a ton of things in this book. I even have it tabbed because I still refer back to it. And I talk to, sometimes if somebody walks up to me, I go, I want to show you this piece.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I do with a lot of my books. I literally highlight them and I tab them so I can go back and resource it really quick.
Right. Reference.
So
Yeah.
this, I believe, is the 12th chakra. I actually have it as my pin.
Hmm.
And that's when it's the unity. So there's a lot of information that's coming through that 12th chakra, and I bring it in and pull it into the book.
Okay. And 12th chakra would be what I would call parallel to the 7th chakra, would be universal consciousness.
Yes.
Does that sound right? Okay.
Yep.
And what we get with universal consciousness is what I like to call that the pillar, or the apex of the pyramid that sees all sides around it. And whereas if you're on the bottom left, you don't see what's going on the bottom right, and and vice versa. That point of perspective at the top gets to see the whole perspective, the full. I wouldn't say necessarily.
Yeah.
It would be truth, I guess. Yeah.
I feel like you're dancing through the holographic field, because when you are doing that, you're not just seeing one perspective.
Right.
You're opening your mind and you're allowing it to come in, and then you move through, you go through high and then low and in and out. Like you go through this a frequency adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you're able to move to other perspectives in the room. So there's a lot that we can do. That's where the superpowers are coming in. I'm getting the chills again. These are our superpowers, our capabilities we've kind of shut down. We've all carried a lot of judgment and we're tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And we couldn't understand why that person wasn't seeing it our way, but that wasn't what they were experiencing. But as we now open up to our superpowers and can have the telepathy experience and expand our awareness and our perceptions to more than one,
Mm-hmm.
now I'm getting the chills all over. This is where we are tapping into each other and loving unconditionally. And there's a whole new realm that is being opened up here.
And you say you say a lot, becoming, or are starting to. Is there something that's happening that you're aware of or noticing that seems to be creating a turn, or a switch has been flipped, or something like that that's going on in the world?
Yep, absolutely. We are in the ascension. We're all experiencing it on different levels at different times. And it's funny because I've noticed certain parts of my brain are change. It can feel like almost like a pressure or a change lately. There's patterns that are happening. People are having migraines, or maybe having upset stomachs or body aches. Like there's a lot of things happening because the frequency in our bodies is trying to calibrate to the energy that's shifting. And so there's a lot of things that we need to be doing in order to make this crossover just what's the word I'm looking for? Not as uncomfortable, because it is, you're supposed to be a little uncomfortable because you're supposed to be healing and you're supposed to be growing and evolving and receiving and letting go. Like there's so many things that are happening one after the other, or even overlapping together. So it's an interesting journey we're all having right now.
Absolutely. Ascension, that sounds like from the layman perspective, like death. Are we saying that ascension is basically a culling or a leaving the Earth plane kind of situation?
I do think so. In the future, it will be. But I do think we are dying. Our old self is dying.
Hmm.
And we are clearing generational programs that have taken place for many, many generations in our bloodlines. And as we're doing the work, the past, the present, and the future, I'm getting the chills again. This is when I know things are coming out that are supposed to be out to you all.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a ripple effect, both directions. And our ancestors are excited for us. They're happy for us. It's a celebration going on as we make these steps through the evolution for each human doing this work. There's still people out there that I see that are not quite ready or scared or holding back. It's going to be a longer, more uncomfortable journey the more you try to resist it. So there's a good process in letting go and letting it flow.
Yeah. Now, would this coincide with the switching of the age of Aquarius from Pisces? Anything to do with that? Is it coincidental?
Yes. And it's super funny because I had no idea a while back I'd be even doing any of this. But as I've studied myself, I am here to build the foundation of the new Earth and the age of Aquarius, I've realized. And I was like, wow, okay, I guess I'm doing this now. This is kind of fun and different and unique. And it's funny because as I talk to people, so I get information that they need to hear, and I see them like click. They click or they rise, like they have an energy lift.
Mm-hmm.
So when you can see someone's energy and aura and you watch it change because they've had that, it's almost like a gateway or portals opening within their bodies of a realization. And so when you see that and witness that, then they ask you a couple more questions. And now I've sent them on their way to evolve at a higher frequency and move into a new world. It's happening. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I could say in one regard that an idea of ascension and leaving the planet, that could happen in a dramatic way, but that would be drama, would almost belong to this plane of existence. That no matter how it happens, it's going to happen. And if it's a big wave or a meteor or something massive and widespread cataclysmic, much like past ages have kind of changed the dynamic of what's on the Earth plane, our energy is still part Earth. Is that right? We're still kind of attached to this planet no matter what. Even if we ascend out.
But I feel we are preparing our bodies, our minds, and our souls. And that's those who have done the work and are clearing things and are making the effort to help other people reach higher states of being are the ones who will ascend.
And
so
ascend is like leave the plane of existence of the Earth, kind of be done with it.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, okay. Because you hear a lot about lives, many lives, and incarnated souls that are trapped kind of in a circle. They're stuck.
Yes, like the reincarnation. So everybody has past lives, and some of that's creating behavior patterns that we have to learn to break, deprogram, reprogram. And then there's a lot of people I'm also finding out, myself included, that say we are not coming back to this planet. We know we are here to complete a cycle, and that's our true intention.
Yeah,
is to finish it out and move to the higher state of being, whether it's in another dimension or realm, physical or non-physical.
Right.
Now, and when we vibrate higher, those around us start to vibrate higher.
Right. Yes. It's a tuning fork kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you yourself working with a higher entity or entities, yourself or other collective?
I say my angels and guides that I work with. Yes, they've always been there throughout my whole life, and that's how my family and friends, they always would, Noelle and her angels, they would tease me. And then as I went through my transformation more and deeper clearing and cleaning, it became even a stronger frequency signal, direct connect to them.
Right.
And so I was like, wow, this is this is pretty impactful. And now I have to go out and do more than I ever thought I would do. But, you know, you have a contract when you come here. Everybody has like a divine blueprint, plan, mission, whatever. Once you figure out what your soul mission is, then it's just time to go do it.
Yeah, right. Well, and I found for myself when I was doing a lot of delving into connection, that I looked back and I, saw them and they're rooting me on, as it were. But also, I had to accept the job, as it were, to listen and follow and be at the right place at the right time. That seemed to be very important. And I had a very definitive moment in time where I said, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I'm done.
It gets tiring sometimes.
Yeah, I got tired of seeing the same numbers in a line. I was just like, you know what, I just got to take a break.
And that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because your
know
body
your limits.
you have to recalibrate. I mean, it's almost like sometimes I feel like you're being blasted with so much energy. It was like you're in the middle of a tornado, but you don't see it, feel the wind, right? It's almost like an invisible frequency of just.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. And you just don't know where you're going to end up. That's because if you're really doing it right, you're moving.
Traveling.
Yeah, that's what happens. Go where you need to be seen and where you need to be heard and all of that. Now, and for me, in my life, I noticed cycles in my life manifest in different parts and places of how I related to things around me. One of them was like a large 25-year cycle that I saw the completion of, or the rounding about of, or whatever. That was pretty amazing. 25 years. That's for me, that was an exceptional thing, because I've seen smaller year clusters. Are you aware of any kind of cycles like that in your life? Are you finding that things are happening in some kind of rhythm?
I just know I want to do what I came here to do. And, there's people that have been in my life for decades that have held me back based on their beliefs, their values, their upbringing, their programming, their generational gaps, whatever. And I finally just kind of went, everybody out of the way. I just push them out of the way. And then so that way I can ascend up to do what I want to do, or what I'm here to do. And that's the message I really want everyone to understand. Sometimes the ascension process is about being alone.
Yeah.
That's why there's a lot of divorce rates happening and breakups. And you're supposed to just have your own unique frequency, because that way you can really vibrate high, strong, and well.
Right.
It's when you're doing that people come in and alter you and change you. Yeah. So sometimes being alone is the most healing method you can offer yourself.
Yeah, giving space between you and others. Even if you're in a relationship, I think it's honoring someone else's time and space for themselves. Yeah.
Yes.
Now you're in the International Space Station. Is that right?
I'm in my own spaceship.
Yeah, there you go. Flying high above it all.
And that's how I feel like sometimes I'm like, let's look down. If you're looking down, what do you see going on this planet? Mm-hmm. Do you like what you see? Would you want to come down and partake and be a part of it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what astronauts actually get when they get to see the Earth from outside. That it looks fragile, it looks precious, and that most things really, all these things that people are wrapped up in really don't matter. They're just inconsequential to the beauty of the space that we're in. And for me, I think of like light pollution, nighttime light pollution, and what a waste of an opportunity for us to still look up and see the stars, look back. And to me, there's a lot of learning that can happen from just having access to the heavens, in a gaze. Do you find yourself drawn to, or have you traveled to sacred sites or power sites or anything like that?
I have traveled, yes. In my dreams, we all travel. Mm-hmm. I have gone to other planets. I remember being in different locations and different homes in different places, and sitting in front of different councils and different people, different beings. Just we're all learning from each other, just like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
when we are close out this interview, you and I will have had an energetic exchange, and we will have taught each other something. And each time we are having this exchange with anyone that comes into our life, whether it's the waking world or the sleeping world, there's knowledge and wisdom that's being passed, whether it's through words or telepathy through your third eye, or even through your entire body, because your entire body is receiving information from plants, from animals, from trees. Just so many things everything's alive, really.
Yeah.
And since we don't, as 3Ds, you only see a fraction of it. And, there's times I've walked out into nature and I can see the trees glittering to me. It's just, I could go and have a whole conversation with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's been here longer than I have in
Yeah.
many cases, and it's very connected to Gaia, and it has a lot of information. And this is why I say, you look down at the earth, humans have been just mistreating each other for so long, as well as the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's the time to really, I'm shining the light on it. Not that this isn't new information, but if we can change that helps us all heal, and our
Right.
frequencies stay higher and aligned. There's a reason why people are hugging trees. They're high vibration and they have information and they can heal the body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I know it sounds if people thought it was so corny before, no one understood, but then once you realize, hey, I can go clear up my karma and my energetic field and my aura by just going and making out with a tree.
Yeah. There you go. Well, and I think
hug you back.
I think that what a lot of people lack is, and this is maybe too pointed, but I think what a lot of people lack is experience. And the way I mean that is, don't just judge, give it a try. If it's not going to harm you, and it's not going to harm anything, and you're going to judge somebody for saying that they get a lot out of hugging a tree, or even being around trees, sitting with a tree, meditating, any of that stuff, give it a try and see what your perceptions, your senses do. And I feel like it's just a lack of experience, that people can just say no, and it's a lot easier to shut somebody down or stay behind a wall than it is to open up and investigate for themselves what that might do for them. And I think along the lines of your book, I think that could be very healing for somebody, in depending on what their situation may be, in a lot of regards: mental, emotional, spiritual, physical.
Yes, and I have to say, I wasn't always like this. So I want y'all to understand, as you elevate, you are going to change, and you're going to feel different, and you're going to have maybe a change in empathy. Might become highly sensitive, and expanded. And so there are times when I now go into nature and I do become Snow White. The squirrels come over, the birds come over. There's a whole communication system coming over talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what it will be that day. Butterflies, dragonflies. There's some days I just walk, I see rabbits. I see so many things that I just go, wow. And all I do is go sit somewhere for whatever, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it just danced in front of me.
Yeah. Take the time. Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you take the time to do it. Exactly. Well,
and they come right up to you, literally.
Yeah.
Hummingbirds will come right up and look at me in the window.
Yeah.
They'll literally just come right, and I'm like, wow, you see me, I see you. And they'll hover there. And I just go, wow, thank you for the message.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for acknowledging me. I see you too. And we're not scared of each other. Right.
And I think that's a lot. It's a word that I'm really rolling around often when I'm thinking about subjects is relations, or the relationship that we all have with one another, with something else, with more atoms. You have a relationship with a certain tree, and I mean that it's in a relation way. It's a give and take kind of experience, and everybody has a different one. Everybody's at a different kind of notch in the wheel, or wherever. Did you? You said you haven't always been like this. Do you have a marked moment when you started to become flooded with an opening, or flooded with ideas, or anything like that?
It was kind of a gradual process. I first stopped drinking altogether.
Yeah, that helps.
And yeah, it's funny because I'd stop drinking, and then I waited, I don't know, 9 months, and I had a drink, and then I woke up the next morning, looked in the mirror, and I saw my aura had changed, and I was like, oh, I don't like the way my aura looks. I don't like the way I feel and look now. But really, and all I had was one drink, because people go, oh, I only had one drink. I go, why bother? It shifts your frequency. And so that's when once you start to really keep elevating, that's why when you go to the trees, you can't understand them because your frequency is so different than theirs. But when you raise it by hanging out with them or sitting by them or leaning against them, now your frequency starts to elevate and match theirs. You kind of start to sync. So when the syncing occurs is when then actually you remove a lot of this energies that we're picking up from other people. We're on our devices a lot, in our hands, our computers. So those are dropping our frequency. But when you really let them go and put them away and go into your self, and then you connect with nature, that's when the healing occurs, and that's how you raise your frequency. So I'm sure you have an idea of this because of our conversation so far, but I'm trying to educate people to understand how they can do it themselves.
Yeah. I think a great start is to not be distracted, and that distraction can take a lot of forms. I think that that information itself can be a distraction from yourself, and that information comes from the stimulus off of the internet or off of the phone. That being just one of many. You mentioned alcohol. It's a dampener, and a lot of people do want to change their frequency because their existence, their frequency that they're currently existing at needs to be dampened. It may be caustic, might not be very good for them. So they look to dampen it and kind of hide from it. You were in a path of upliftment and wanting to rise above and be empowered. And then the alcohol definitely is going to dampen that. So then how do you feel? Not so good. But for others, they utilize alcohol as a means to medicate, in a sense, out of something that they don't like, which is the normal everyday life that they live. Again, I think it goes into experience. And what I find a lot with this type of the upliftment or the ascension concept is that there needs to be a knock. There needs to be a calling that says, your time is now, rise up. Don't be, hampered. Don't dampen, maintain yourself and be true to this calling. It's the sugars and the drugs and the alcohol and the relationships and technology, too much of the wrong kind of information or something like that gets in our way, kind of like you said before with people. You just had to tell them to move out, move away, I'm rising up. So did you have to go through a lot of that as well, where you were clearing kind of your space and your area, the influences on you?
Well, and it was funny. So the first time I stopped drinking was for, like I said, about 9 months, and I detoxed and lost weight. I was going through a huge shift of a cycle for the first time like that in my life. And I got really thin. I remember that was probably the thinnest I'd ever been. But then I realized I became highly telepathic at that point. Because I'd removed all the toxins out. I had removed a lot of cellular damage out, energy and frequencies of other people that had been infiltrating my body was cleared. And that's when I was like, whoa, this is pretty exciting. So I'd gone to a friend's house, and she told me that they had bought a motorhome. And I said, did you buy it from Garden Grove, the city? And she goes, yeah, how'd you know that? I go, I heard it. And then she said, it's in the shop. It's getting repairs done. I said, is it going to be $1,500? And she's like, yes. How did you know that? I said, I heard it. And I saw it. I saw the numbers. So it just started out. And I didn't think anything of much of it at the time. And now when I look back, I really realized I had changed my diet. I had just shifted so many different levels, like not even thinking about it. I just did it because I was going through this a big change in my life that I didn't see coming.
Yeah. Right.
And so in the end, it was like I'm in the middle of the storm, and then I came out and I'm blossoming.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'd already done a lot of the work. And a lot of the work usually is a detox of sorts at different levels. Just allow your body to experience the world around it. I think that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you go into this in the book?
I do. I go into so many different topics. There's a lot of topics. It's like I said, 30 years of knowledge.
Yeah.
If not more of my lifetime, all my lifetime of knowledge. I put a lot of books in it too as resources and references that I've read in my lifetime because they impacted me powerfully.
Okay.
And I knew that I go, well, if they like what I've written, they might want to go research something else. And it was kind of funny because I don't know, do you know the book, The Celestine Prophecy?
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually just mentioned the Celestine Prophecy in the book. And I picked up the 10th Insight recently at a used bookstore, and I hadn't read it. I only read the first one in the 90s when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I picked up the second one, and as I was reading it, I was pretty much screaming because it was very much aligned with what my book's about in many ways. But it was my experience of a Celestine Prophecy type of experience.
Yeah.
But this day and age, and then I'm expressing how I got there, what happened for me, and how other people can have it too by doing the process in the book. So it's been exciting to witness. And I think more and more people are going through their prophecy experiences right now, which is, I'm getting the chills again. Super exciting. This is, people talk about this being the end times. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I was married to somebody who was very into those beliefs. And then as I researched that, I was like, wow, I can see some of this is very much in alignment.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. I just wrote my book and I go, my book is going to do whatever it's going to do. It's alive as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And it's like a ripple effect, out to people. So it's been amazing so far.
Yeah.
The journey.
I think the idea we get stuck in is that what we know of life is what we see, what we experience with the five senses, and that what we also know through scientific endeavors is that there's a way more to life than what we see or experience with the five senses. We're only experiencing, so much that we're actually capable of experiencing with these limited senses, and that we potentially have over 100 other senses that we're actually tapping into at various different levels or lay dormant. But we get kind of stuck within a view that everything that we know is the truth and as it is, and it's no other way. It's kind of like thinking that the ground never moves or that we're not on a planet that's rotating really fast. It's the idea of like just everything's fixed, right? But life is ensnared in death, in change, in transition. And our view of this locked in, what seems like a forever, but we know is not forever, is a very interesting trick of the mind that we kind of, safeguard ourselves. Would that be right? We safeguard our sanity, maybe?
I
by
think
not
so.
dwelling
People
on
are
it?
scared. They don't understand it, which brings up fear, and then they're very frightened because I was with somebody who had that. So that vibration went through me for a very long time. And then as I became who I am able to look past that. I'm able to, what's the word I'm looking for? Open up my mind further and accept whatever is that being or experience over there, the information that's coming through. I'm able to, I would say, process it, bring it down for other people to understand it and not be so scared of it.
Yeah, I used to call it a filtering, so that I'd be able to speak the different languages to people based on the information so that they would understand what the idea or the concept was, so it wasn't so harsh. So it's like the same idea of ascension. Is ascension just death? Well, it's this other process that it's a universal process versus something that you just only see with your senses. death is, yes, this is what we experience here, is that things transition and they're no more. But is there no more? Does energy only remanifest itself in a different form? And that is, I guess, a great question for, the ages, but it seems to be that the ancients believed in an afterlife and in reincarnation and in manifestations in the physical from the spiritual versus the other way around. Is that sort of what you're being told, or
Okay, so I
out?
made this film in 2014.
Hmm.
Had no idea. This is where how far back things go, and I've been doing it and not even realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Luminary, and it's all about reincarnation. And the partner I was with didn't believe in reincarnation, but for whatever reason, I created this film, and it was all told through music and energy, no words.
Wow.
It's through like a frequency, vibration, light. The light within is what it's about.
Wow.
And it's actually have a trailer on YouTube, but I've never shown it anywhere.
Oh.
And there's a ton of families in the city I live in that are in it, and their children are in it. And so I've kind of held off until the right moment to unleash it and share it, because now their kids are much older.
Right.
And it's going to be a whole experience, but it is, and I had no idea back then that's what I was doing. It's been something that has just been there always. It's like I knew some things we just know in our bones.
Yeah.
You just know that you're supposed to have a certain thing, or you have this belief because it is who you are, or it's from a past life, which is why you just know.
Right.
So, we're all going places and been places.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Forward and backwards. So it sounds like to me that you were born with some types of extrasensory powers, and potentially in your life itself found a way to kind of hold them back or keep them at bay. And then, of course, an experience you also did through drinking or whatever else you were doing to dampen their intensity in your life. But then once you started to open up, these things that were part of who you are, probably from the get-go, were able to rise above and shine. Is that going to be very similar for other people as well, that same story?
I absolutely believe that, which is why I wrote the book, because I'm sure a ton of people are holding back. I felt like I was a volcano erupting when I finally let go and let it flow. It was beauty and magic all at the same time. It was a release. It was a relief. And why would we hold our greatness back? Because I was surrounded by people who were naysayers or non-believers, or they only had. I actually have had so many religions cross my path in my lifetime, and I thought it's great. I appreciate you and your religion. No, I'm no judgment, but don't expect me to have that same belief as you. That's your belief, your experience, and what you want to do. But everybody's pushed them on me for my entire life.
Right.
And so when I got free, it felt like I just was like, okay, free to be me. And now look what I can do, because I'm unlimited now.
Yeah.
Everybody else put their limitations on me and each other. So when people finally start to tap into themselves and their powers, that we all have different capabilities. Some are going to be stronger than others. And that's what I want people to understand. You have every opportunity to do this for yourself. You might have something totally different that you're really excellent at. I mean, there's people who can go to a restaurant, eat a meal, and go home and make the exact same meal without a recipe.
Right. Yeah.
Now that's a superpower.
I think it is too.
Right? Right. There's
quite amazing.
I'm getting the chills. Yeah. So this is the kind of things I'm talking about. I don't have that superpower, but if you have it and you want to hang out with me and cook for me, I'm in.
Yeah. It is people don't realize what their potential is, or what they're actually already doing as part of their potential. Talent. I call it talent, right? We want to build talent. And sometimes we have to free ourselves so that we can express more or find the latent talent that we have. Okay. And now your book, where can we find it?
I have it on Barnes and Noble. It's on Amazon. If you go to my website, noellehipke.com, I have links to it there. Yeah, I'm actually put it on audiobook. It's supposed to come out hopefully any day. So I read it myself. I wanted it to
Oh,
be my voice, my frequency,
it's great.
so people could feel it and experience it. It's funny because when I've had friends who bought my book and were reading it, they're like, I hear your voice when I'm reading. And I'm like, good,
Yeah,
good.
that's the way it should be.
So I try and write from my heart to your heart,
Yeah,
basically. So your heart will open and soften.
very good.
So there's an experience we're gonna have together.
Yeah, and superpowers. So that's
Mhm.
fantastic too.
Oh yeah, I had children come to my dreams
Hmm.
to tell me what to name the book.
Okay.
They were yelling and telling me
Yeah.
superpowers, and I was like, okay, all right, decision made.
Through the
So
child's eyes, and I think that what that comment brings out for me is that it is when we kind of revert back to the beginnings before we were so clouded and covered up to when we were young and everything was potential, everything was magic, that we had those superpowers, right?
yes, when you're unlimited,
Yeah,
then when you're open and receiving and giving unconditionally, and then things happen that start to condition you
right.
and limit you.
Yep, yeah, that's how it happens. It seems to be. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much for being here today, and really excited to check out this book. Sounds like you've got some great remedies for how to access and develop the superpowers.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Tap in, get your superpowers going.
Very good. Noelle Hipke, thank you so much.
Thank you.